putting intention into something physical and like keeping that intention planted in our minds as we, observe this item and this form, and as I work on it, and how that influences the individual on a subconscious level and a conscious level. And just by looking at it, or like someone else looking at it, like everybody will interpret something different, but form influences our consciousness, right? Like you walk into this room, you see all this paintings and art, it's going to make you feel a certain way. It's going to make you think certain things. It's going to shift your energy in whatever way that it will. So yeah, it's powerful to reflect on, how art can influence us as beings, and like how my intention can influence the art and therefore influence the observer or the wearer or whatever it may be. And yeah, that's absolutely magic in my eyes.
Super cool.
Hello and welcome. My name is Dmitry Markelov, aka @DimitriMakeLove, and you're listening to an episode of Faucets of Reality. Let's begin.
That would be distracting. Keys to successful podcasting: mitigate all distractions.
Let's call it that. Yeah, like 5 keys to a succcesul podcast.
No, I wouldn't be the person to ask about. I could offer some tips, but yeah, to creating a high quality podcast. Yeah. I could offer some tips, but not a ton of advice.
I'm sure more than a lot of people.
True. Yeah, I've produced 30 to 40 maybe. It is a lot of work. That's another thing. I was like, it's not one of those things that's a priority right now as far as what's going to move the needle for me and move things forward in the way that I would like them to. Such a great tool for building relationships though, and creating opportunities, right? Like, I have a podcast. Would you like to be on it? Someone you admire, someone you want to, tune into more deeply.
Totally. Yeah, no, I found it's like people are really like happy to come on just that you ask them, it's like very, it's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, so let's get started. This is going to be, I think, episode like 17 of Faucets of Reality. And, I haven't gotten to like my 20th podcast yet, and they say like after 20 it gets easier, right, or something. But today I have the honor of having Bill Arthur.
Bill Robertson, that's my middle name though.
Oh,
yeah,
Bill, okay.
William Arthur Robertson II is my birth name.
Your birth name?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm very happy to talk to you. I think that you're doing so many things in the world. Like the way you're moving through the world is just super like inspirational, I think, to a lot of people. I like that you're creating a community and you're trying to inspire other men, and you're a men's coach. Then you do jewelry too. You're from Wisconsin. You're from this area.
That's correct.
You've done some traveling. You've gone to some events, some retreats. I think you have a Zoom thing that you guys do every week, right?
Yeah, we do a weekly virtual meetup for our men's community.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then also you're creating jewelry, like that's your
correct.
business,
yep.
Right? And weren't you making something for what's his name? What's his name again?
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
It's like indirectly for him. It's for him, which a friend of mine who is directly connected with him is planning on presenting it to him on one of his InfoWars podcasts.
Wow. Alex Jones.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget how they got introduced to each other, but he's been on InfoWars once talking about, the power of our words and the influence language has on ourselves and our perception as a whole for the first show. And he has plans in maybe June to go back on and give him that pendant. So yeah, that was a cool opportunity, of one of many cool opportunities that has come from, investing myself into jewelry arts, and then also investing myself in wellness, because the reason I know the man that I made that for is because I decided to go on the journey of embarking on studying the Enlifted method, so a mindset certification through Mark, who is the client that I made that pendant for.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think if nothing else, it's a testament to your success as a jewelry maker. So it sounds like you got a lot of things going for you. So I guess I'd like to like kind of start in like the very beginning. So this is like something I got from listening to Rick Rubin's podcast a lot, where he doesn't ask questions, but he'll be like, tell me about your home life. Right? tell me about like, you know, your house, how you grew up, like your family, and, you know, where everything started, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is always a wonderful opportunity to reflect on my upbringing, because there's always like new nuggets that come through from like taking myself through the journey and reflecting on it in real time with my voice. So I appreciate that, because it's just, yeah, there's so much there, and there's always new connections to be made as far as like why I am the way I am, and how things unfolded in the way that they have, and how I've been guided into this position through my upbringing and through the things I've said yes to, and just who I've become as a whole. So yeah, I grew up in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. I was born in 1994, in Milwaukee actually. And really the beginning of my story, like the first major pivot point, is the death of my late and great father, William Arthur Robertson. Of course, you guys, as I stated before, I'm the second. I'm his son, and he was a police officer whose life was taken in the line of duty 2 months before I was born, as he was like, first making his endeavor into police training in Milwaukee County, because he was in Whitefish Bay before. He wanted more action, and so he shifted gears into a new area to, you know, serve the community and be someone who is protecting others through being a police officer. And yeah, crazy situation. I think it was like a 17 and 18-year-old kid, obviously very misguided, had no idea what they were doing, programmed a certain way to behave in this way, because nobody just behaves in this way. It's like nobody just decides that, well, these people did, right? But like there's reasons why these things happen. There's a lot of programming and generational stuff that has to unfold for a situation like this to occur. So yeah, these two kids, you know, influenced by their older brothers and gangs and drugs and alcohol and rap music at the time. So in the police report, they had stated that they were influenced by a Tupac Shakur song, I don't know which one it was, I forget, to go out and, you know, actually kill a police officer. So they stole a gun from one of their older brothers, and they went out and sat at this corner, like, we're going to wait here and this is what we're going to do. That's what they had decided. And like, somehow astronomically they were able to, these kids that didn't know how to use a rifle, a firearm whatsoever, were able to shoot into the vehicle that my dad was in, and somehow, you know, pierce through his shoulder into his heart, because he had a bulletproof vest on too, and that's really the only exposed area on the torso. In a moving vehicle from like a few 200 feet away, which is like crazy. Like that landed into his body the way that it did. Just because like even a skilled marksman likely wouldn't be able to make that shot. So it's almost like it was meant to be, you know, like it was fate. So yeah, that led to me growing up in a single parent household. My mom leading the way, doing a really great job doing it, but like, you know, one individual and somebody who has like a particular nature can only offer so much to a child. So like I had that nurturing and that love for my mom, but I didn't have the discipline and the structure, you know, that sort of guidance in, you know, feeling my way into a healthy means of masculine energy. Like, what does that look like? How does, and of course that's incredibly important as a young man, but yeah, twin sister Kayla and younger brother Sam were also on the journey with me. My mom got remarried and had Sam, so half brother technically, but of course brother. And yeah, that sort of encapsulates, like, briefly my early childhood was not having a ton of discipline, but having like a really great loving household and family that I was a part of. So there was a lot of love, a a lot of support, a lot of encouragement, and our even our extended family, we'd always get together, have these amazing gatherings. So blessed in that way to have this big family, so much love, all about connection and being together, and that was a huge part of what I have come to value in my life now. Valuing connection, valuing togetherness, valuing relationships, valuing family, and really pouring time and energy into that. But with, on the discipline piece, without that, I found myself getting involved in, behaviors that weren't the best for me, getting involved in drugs and alcohol at a pretty young age. First time I drank alcohol, I believe I was 12.
Wow.
And I just my mom had a liquor cabinet. There was some Southern Comfort in there. Grew up in a drinking family. So this is what people do. Let's give this a try, So I was with an old buddy of mine. We drank the bottle, and after things change. You're just whoa, this is possible. I can consume this thing and have this experience, altering my consciousness. Things change from there, right? And that and then you're in a culture that says don't do these things, just say no, and there's really no actual education around.
It's bad, right? It's wrong to drink, especially as a kid, right? Did you love the taste of whiskey
Hell
right
no.
away?
Hell no. I hated it. All I knew was that if I drank enough of it, I would feel amazing. So that's was my first experiences altering my mind with substances. Okay. And that led to a bunch of other explorations with that. Later on, finding cannabis and other psychedelics and substances like MDMA, LSD, mushrooms in mid high school, late high school, and that's where I really started to come into my creativity and through these explorations with psychedelics, and I wasn't using them in a therapeutic intentional way, but it was opening up different layers and ways of being in life, and helping me see things a certain way outside of the norm, and break free from the matrix in more than one way. And I recognized I saw how people were operating and where they were deciding from later in high school. It's why are people even going to college? It doesn't seem like they're doing what they want to do. It just seems like they're doing what their parents want them to do and what society wants them to do. And I was what do I want to do? And funny enough, ultimately I decided to go to college because that programming had its grips on me as well. But
a lot of us,
right.
Sure.
And went to college for a semester, realized it wasn't for me because there wasn't really any sort of path forward that felt right for what I wanted to do. At the time, I was heavily invested in music culture and still exploring psychedelics and stuff like that. And I came into wire wrapping. So that's 17, 18 is when I found my way into jewelry making and started to play around with that. And I realized I could make these pieces and go to shows and sell them. So that's when I was there's a potentiality for a future, with creating art and supporting myself.
So that's how you started jewelry. So you said you were 17 or 18, around there?
Yep.
And at first you did it to kind of sell at music shows?
Well, at first I just I did it and I was yo, I'm loving this, and I really excelled at it. So it was just purely out of joy and getting lost in the craft and how great that made me feel. And then I realized I could, bring these things to shows, and it was something that the music festival and live music culture appreciated. So there was a little bit of money involved, not much, but
you found your inner dwarf, right?
Tell me about that.
Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I do.
They had the race of dwarves, and they would be in the mines creating jewelry. They created the rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. Because they work with the rocks and the different metals and stuff, right? So I kind of think of that kind of similar, I guess. Of course, you're not using a mallet or something. You're not putting it in the forge or something. Or are you? How does that work?
There's there's 1,000 different ways to make one piece of jewelry. You can literally buy the raw materials and alloy your own metals, and for whatever your desired result is. If you want to make 18 karat gold, that's an amalgamation of different base alloys, and you'd melt that together. Then you can put it through a rolling mill, turn it into sheet or turn it into wire, and then there's just a wide assortment of ways of working with it from there, hitting it with hammers, forming in different ways, using a torch to solder different elements that you've created together. Okay. So yeah, it's like this deep, complex process as far as if somebody's going the handmade route, because there's also at this point 3D modeling in computers through various programs in which you can 3D print a resin and then do a lost wax casting process.
Okay.
So yeah, there's so many different ways to go about it, but how I initially started was just everything handmade. I didn't do the whole alloy my own metal thing, but I would buy sheet metal and then fabricate it and then bring these individual components together and work directly from the raw materials, essentially, minus the alloying process and rolling my own sheet, which I just saw as a waste of time because it's kind of just I can just buy that already done.
So tell me about the first piece that you made and you sold.
Okay. Yeah. I can't even really remember what the first piece that I made and sold was. I can remember the first wire wrap I made. It's actually in my safe right now. And it was like a piece of pyrite, and it was just like a basic weave with a bail on it. And I remember the second and third one I did too. So those were the first wire wraps I made. And then I also remember the first fabricated piece I made when I was in Nashville for my technical bench jewelry program, which is also in my safe. And yeah, that's something I'll never sell or give away. I decided that from the beginning, I'm going to hold on to this because it's like a strong piece, really important piece of my journey, very sentimental item of mine that reminds me of a certain very formative period in my life. But yeah, I can't really remember, the first piece I sold. I sold wire wraps, different wire wrap rings and pendants that I made. There was some custom work, and there was a lot of things that I just made and sold. And then similar with, as I moved into the more advanced techniques, it was a similar situation where custom work, and then also things I was just making and people were buying through online platforms like Instagram and Facebook.
Very cool. So you basically, you create custom pieces for people, right? It's something you can do. What are some of the types of things you can make for someone? Like if someone didn't know anything about, jewelry or anything, and they wanted maybe... What are the types of things you could make for a client?
Oh yeah, I mean, pretty much anything.
Okay.
It's really just what...
You make cufflinks?
Yeah, see, I was like, there's things that I would not prefer to make just because...
tiaras or something?
That's possible. If somebody wanted to pay me $100,000 to make a crazy tiara, I would do it. But I would want a large sum of money to make it happen. Well, it depends, all circumstances vary as far as what someone's looking for and what it requires from me to make it happen. Because some processes are more familiar than others. And it is great to be put out of my element. But for the most part, what I'm making for people is custom bespoke engagement rings and stuff like that. So one of a kind, I work with these individuals. I talk to them, connect with them on their story and how they came together. And ultimately the goal is to make something that encapsulates what they're creating as a couple within their union, within their love, and what that connection means to them, and have the ring be a symbolic representation of that and a reminder of the values, the vision, the mission, within their relationship. And aside from that, just pendants and other rings of sorts that aren't engagement rings exactly. I've done earrings, but it's for the most part rings and pendants that have been the main thing that I've produced, the main things that I've produced.
Yeah, you sound like like a real craftsman. You sound like what you're talking about, because a lot of this is honestly just going straight past me. But
totally.
But for the audience of my podcast, Faucets of Reality, I feel like this resonates on a few levels. One of them being that it is an art form. So you are materializing these things in the real world. So it's a very creative thing for sure. The other thing that I like to touch upon, and something, personally, a very interesting topic, is magic as a big, as a big thing, but more specifically in this case, I guess talismans or amulets. I know back in the day, people would create little, you know, trinkets or something like that, or like a little ring, and then they would actually imbue it with some sort of intention or some sort of a magical purpose, you know. Is that something like, do you have any thoughts about that, or do you create magical objects?
I think so, yeah.
A wedding ring is definitely a magical object.
Right. There's a lot of intention there as far as, you know, the function of it.
Like a good luck talisman or something.
Sorry, no, you're good. Like and it's interesting because I mean, it really depends on who I'm working with and how deep they want to go. But ultimately, like my ideal situation is to go as deep with the intention as possible, and like the energy that we collaboratively create, and you know, infusing that into the material and the item and the overall direction of the project and outcome of the project as a whole. So yeah, it's cool to think about like the possibilities of that and how our energy influences, like, yeah, putting intention into something physical and like keeping that intention planted in our minds as we, you know, observe this item and this form, and as I work on it, and how that influences the individual on a subconscious level and a conscious level. And just by looking at it, or like someone else looking at it, like everybody will interpret something different, but form influences our consciousness, right? Like you walk into this room, you see all this paintings and art, it's going to make you feel a certain way. It's going to make you think certain things. It's going to shift your energy in whatever way that it will. So yeah, it's powerful to reflect on, you know, how art can influence us as beings, and like how my intention can influence the art and therefore influence the observer or the wearer or whatever it may be. And yeah, that's absolutely magic in my eyes.
Super cool. Yeah. It sounds like you've definitely like given that a lot of thought. I guess I think of it as like, you know, there's the physical object, right? But then there's like all these other unseen layers to it. Like, you know, you can hold it in your hand, but then you also get like a feeling from it. Like it gives you like a feeling you can feel in your chest. And then you also, it represents some sort of like an idea also, you know? So there's like, it's like a multi-layered thing. So I guess, I don't know, I feel like I want to kind of explore these other layers of reality that, you know, you don't always see with the eyes, but like, you know, they're there, or you can sense it somehow, you know, if that makes sense. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think like jewelry, I don't know if you use it to that purpose, but like it kind of it could anchor an idea in the physical, right? It could kind of say like, oh, I made this, I don't know, to you know, to bring me money or something like that, right? And then you kind of make this thing, and it's always going to be a reminder to, like you're saying, your subconscious, you know, to manifest that thing, right? Or something. Yeah. I don't know. This is what I find like very, very fascinating.
Yeah, it can be a functional beacon. That's like my goal with the engagement rings. And like, I've only explored it to only so much depth with basically how willing my participants are to go there, but for it to be, like an integration device, right? Like they see this thing and it's a reminder of all these concepts and ideas, and every time they see it, it's going deeper into their being. Yeah. And that's so powerful, right? And as far as like directing ourselves and our consciousness in the direction that we want to go. And it's like a practice, right? Like if maybe like we all have our own perspective on what that looks like for us and implementing that into our lives. You obviously have a lot of thoughts on it, which is super cool. I know you think a lot about it, and that's really powerful. Just like the deeper layers of like our reality and like how things can really influence us when we think about them in this way and leverage them in this way. Yeah.
It's just that, you know, I've always known like there's more to the world than what we can see. You know, there's like actually turns out a lot more that we don't have the senses to perceive, you know. But maybe we do. I mean, apparently I think we do have like a higher perception, like there's these higher perception senses I've heard about that we just haven't developed yet. But like, it's all waves and energy, right? So if you can pick up the waves, you can pick up any energy, and you can also create that energy, right? So it's like manifestation and stuff like that.
Wizard shit, baby.
Wizard shit. And yeah, I just find that idea fascinating, how you anchor kind of like a spiritual idea in the physical world, you know. And I think like jewelry has been used for that purpose, like a lot.
Yeah, you put it very well into words.
Yeah,
it helps me solidify those concepts more.
Very good.
Because I think about it, but also I haven't been investing my energy in jewelry lately, so it's like I'm like revisiting, you know, my processes and what I have done. And I was like just starting to go deeper into this. It's cool because it's reinvigorating inspiration to potentially pour more of my energy into jewelry. Right now, I'm just like keeping my distance because I have other things that are, you know, calling me forward and that I feel more purposeful doing and that are of more excitement to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's amazing how much depth there can be, because like there can be a narrative in my head. It's like, well, I'm making luxury items and that's all that it is. And I don't truly see it that way, but like that's how a lot of people see it. So that can influence how I see it. But yeah, it could be a very deeply spiritually impactful, you know, work of art on an individual and really influence them in ways that actually create a very positive impact for them.
Yeah. So you've been doing it for how long now? Over 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Over
if we
decade.
include, from the beginning of the wire wrapping times up until now. So 11, 12 years.
Wow. Very cool. You know, on the one hand, like it's all, you know, it could be looked at as a spiritual thing, but like on the other hand, like jewelry was important to pirates also, right? Pirates, they would wear like, you know, like something, or they would have like a gold tooth, so that if they ever got robbed, or like, you know what I mean, they would always have like a little bit of like a nugget, like a gold nugget, so they could sell it for money, you know what I mean? That was like the whole thing.
You gotta stay strapped with the booty.
Yeah, exactly. Stay strapped with the booty.
Pirate lingo.
Perfect. Pirates are cool, man.
That's cool. Yeah, you have such a depth of knowledge. Like it's always so fun to talk to you because you're just like pulling information that applies to what we're talking about from all these different areas. So it's sweet. It's really fun.
I appreciate that. No, I mean, it's good to hear compliments sometimes.
Yeah,
I get them a lot. You know,
it is, dude. I mean, you're a gangster, bro.
Thanks, man. I did want to also say my deepest condolences for your father, but it's just such an interesting thing, like you said, like almost like it was meant to happen. Like I lost my dad almost 2 years ago, and something I heard recently is that it's just funny because, you know, now you're a men's coach and you lead these men's gatherings, which I was a part of once or twice, which was it was a very good experience. I really learned a lot about myself and got to meet a lot of like-minded people. But what I'm trying to say is that I heard this quote recently that a man doesn't become a man until his father dies. And I thought that was
a man
deep.
In the womb.
that's literally what I was gonna say. Yeah, so like you were already born a man, like you know what I mean, in a sense, right? Aside from that, I mean, I'm sure like I feel as though just that you're hosting these men's like you're being a men's coach and you're hosting these men's program, which truth be told, it's not exactly easy being a man these days, for sure. There's a lot of kind of this roundabout negativity thrown at us, you know, and it's hard to kind of combat it in a way. But I think that just that you're a men's coach, that already means that you've healed so much in that respect, in specifically the masculine energy. I feel as though you're like you're truly an example of what the modern masculine is and embodies. And this is why, you know, I look up to you a lot, and you've gotten me out of my shell, you know, so I know like you've worked on me already, like you had an effect on me, you've changed me. I know you're doing that for a lot of people. So yeah, can you speak on that? Like what made you want to become a coach? And I'm sure it's kind of like I'm sure it's like a theme of your life, it seems like, So I want to, if you could maybe share some wisdoms with us, or something that maybe you'd like more men to hear right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, pinpoint a specific time in which it became a calling. It was a slow roll, I would say. One thing that I know for sure that's been like the most impactful for me is being in spaces where I'm encouraged to like embrace the full spectrum of who I am, and supported in like practicing expressing what's alive for me, and connecting to my emotions, and like recognizing like that this is who we are, this is what we do. And that's hard because for so long we've been told, especially as men, that that's not okay. Suck it up, stuff it down, be a tough guy, shit like that.
Don't show your feelings.
Yeah, which like I wouldn't say like I heard that much, but like that's just lingering in our bodies, and like from the previous generations, right? Like that's in our genetics.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't very present, like those very tangible words being said to me, but that was like reflected in my reality around me. And especially like you grow up in high school, and it's just like this weird culture of like, super immature, toxic masculinity. And, that influences you in a lot of ways, like the way the boys that you hang around speak about women, how they speak about themselves and their friends, and like, lack integrity as far as like honesty and transparency about just like lots of, and this is like just what happens when you're a kid, like we're all finding our way, and we just don't have the necessary mentorship and role models to kind of guide us in a way where we're living and relating in a way that is good for us. So like there's a lot of gossip, there's a lot of shit talking, and like judgment, and really just like toxic ways of being. So as far as, what has led me down this path, it primarily was pain. Like I felt like something was off. Something was telling me it was off. My nervous system was continually indicating this to me. But I continued to, utilize drugs and alcohol to like push this pain away. And it continued to culminate. I continued to live in this way and hang out with these people and do these things. Go out on the weekends, drink a lot of alcohol, do cocaine and other drugs till the very early morning, and then feel fucking horrible for like multiple days. And at a certain point, like I was in my jewelry studio and I was just spending way too much time alone. I was like super obsessed with becoming successful, because like I just felt inadequate. I was very insecure, and like my means of resolving that was becoming successful in jewelry arts. That's the narrative that was spinning. That was like, what the unconscious programming was. And like everything kind of just came to a boiling point. And I was like, I need to just fucking do something different here, because I'm spending way too much time alone. I'm just doing drugs. I'm like jerking off all the time, like doing all these things, just like pressing all these buttons, avoiding, what my body's trying to tell me and my heart's trying to tell me. So yeah, like the universe presented me an opportunity, and it was to go to this event in San Diego, under this guy, Paul Check, actually where I met Scott.
Okay.
So that's how Dimitri and I met.
Yes, shout out to Scott Dozier.
Shout out Scott. We love you, buddy.
He kind of, he introduced us.
Yeah. And I like, that event popped onto my radar, and I was like, I just knew I really wanted to be there, and there was a calling there. I was studying his work for a while. I was applying some of his principles to my life, but still I wasn't happy. I just truly wasn't happy in that time. I like convinced myself that I was, and everybody around me was like, oh dude, like you're doing so good. You're a successful art. Like your life looks amazing. And it was just this weird space to be, because like my illusion just continued to be bolstered. And I I just never fully admitted to myself that I wasn't okay.
But you had this space inside of you, this like emotional turmoil, right? That
Yeah.
you were kind of like, you're trying to escape or trying to, you know, like bury deep down inside, right? Or something like that, right?
Yeah, basically I was just like continuously looking for love and connection in all the wrong ways, in the ways that I just like learned, and they were all maladaptions essentially, maladaptive behaviors. And yeah, so this opportunity presented itself, and I was like, if I can make $800 or $1,000 or whatever it was in the next week, I'm going on this trip. And the next 2 days I made a jewelry sale, so that was very synchronistic, and bought the ticket, went out on that trip. And I finally realized, like, through that experience, what it was that I was missing. And it was just people that were actually like living in pure ways, and that were like really about connection. So like I just found like a legitimate, authentic way of connecting with others through that experience, because all that I was experiencing was at home, was like, and what my ingrained patterns was I go out to drink and do drugs, and that's when I can be free and connect. And that was like the only way I felt I could do that. And I was just totally, you know, like entrenched in that cycle.
For sure.
Constantly doing that. And like this contrast experience illuminated to me that this is what it's all about. So like after that, things totally fucking changed for me. I made, you know, a handful of friends there who I'm still in touch with today. That led to other experiences, different men's retreats and stuff like that. And as my heart started to heal, as I started to open and recognize the power of these spaces, I was like, this is like really intriguing to me. I want to, you know, explore this in my own way. And I felt a creative calling towards it. So that's really how it all culminated, was like the universe kind of like took me on this journey, and then like, you know, it presented this little nugget, this breadcrumb, like, oh, this event's happening, like, are you going to go on it? And I was like, yes, I'm going to go on it. So I did. A lot became illuminated to me.
Change your life.
Yeah.
And
then from there, it's like I recognized the power of saying yes to my heart and how to listen to my heart, and just continued to like practice doing that and tune into that energy. And that's just what I've been doing ever since, to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
And, you know, every day is a different process, a different experience of myself. Like I'm, you know, in a human body still. So like the journey is ongoing. And it's cool to like, reflect on the evolution. And just in a nutshell, that's what led me on the path of becoming a coach. And just like really in the end, boiling it down, I really love helping people open up in the way that I did through that process, and holding spaces where people can do that. Various practices, cold plunge, sauna, authentic relating, different ways of reflecting, and like, you know, encouraging people to connect to their emotions and like express them and truly get vulnerable and experience the healing properties of that. And I see that as incredibly important for men right now in this time, like really basic stuff. And just like coming together with other guys, practicing that, and also like having fun while doing it, because we make sure to infuse the levity into it, because that's very helpful with allowing people to relax into the space and be more open, and therefore they take a lot more out of it. Because a lot of the men's work stuff, as of now, it can just be like pretty corny and like sort of like dry. And like, we're coming together to do hard work, and we're going to sit in this circle, and we're going to talk about, you know, the things we're scared of, and the pain we're experiencing, and that's what we do too. But like, in my opinion, there's ways to make it a lot more enjoyable, and to like also evoke, you know, the inner child, and like cater to that in a way as well. Like we say a lot of, like in the work that I do, I bring in a lot of inappropriate jokes, you know, like I feel like it's helpful to loosen things up and like have that.
Gotta be, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's all in a nutshell though, like how I came to this position.
Man, I'm gonna be completely honest, like it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I think that's so, oh man, so much to say. I just feel like you're such a powerhouse, like in the world in general. I just feel like you're always doing something, and Man, you got me out of my shell. We went and cold plunged Lake Michigan, which is like such a first for me. We've done it twice already, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was nuts. I don't think I would have done it if I didn't have someone, to go with, kind of thing.
Was that the first time we met when I like in person?
Yeah,
I
you
picked
picked
you
me
up.
Yeah, and we never met before.
We
did some hot yoga. I remember. Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was great. Such a great introduction, and I guess everything you just said, I feel like that was so much healing in there. And again, I mean, to me, like, you're an example of intentional living, and kind of an example of, for others, that you can change your life around, consciously and intentionally. And you can listen to your heart, and you can resolve those inner turmoil, feelings. You could be a different person, you know what I mean? You could be your highest self. As like, I feel as though, life is messy and things, but I think that you're definitely walking the talk, that you're saying. And so have you... How's that going? I know, is it kind of like a new thing for you where you've just like started opening your coaching kind of thing like recently, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, it's pretty messy.
Okay, it is messy.
It's pretty messy, which is awesome, because it's like, it's the ultimate test, and it's not meant to be easy. So and like, it's hard for a lot of different reasons. And I want to back up quick. I want to say, like, it's been awesome meeting you, and that was such an awesome experience getting to, go into the lake together, and that be like our first way of coming together. I remember that day very vividly. There was like a snowstorm, and it took me twice as long to drive from my mom's house in Cedarburg down to Milwaukee. And I got you. We ended up being late to yoga, but we crushed the yoga session.
Yes, we did.
And like my friend Tyler that initiated the whole, there's a bunch of other guys that met us there to do the yoga and the cold plunge. He actually couldn't make it because his car was buried, in his alleyway or whatever.
Right. It's
there was
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there was two other guys there, Andrew and Sean, other brothers. So we did the yoga, went down to the lake, and Dimitri's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm gonna get in. But like, and there's these huge waves. Like, it's just like, it's not optimal settings for first cold plunge at all. Like big ass fucking waves that are just like make it really, gnarly to get in there, because it's already frigid. It's air's cold, water's cold, and then you got to deal with the waves on top of that. But dude, there's this video that I have of you still where you just ran in and you just get knocked down by this wave, and that's something that I'll remember. So I wanted to just take us down that memory lane real quick.
First times can be awkward sometimes, but like no, you got, I mean, I literally, I'm walking down like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. Like, it's cold, like it snowed that day, like and then we're walking down, all of you guys like got in the water, and I'm like, I'm not going to be the only one back here. Like, all right, I'll jump in. So I just went and jumped in, and it was...
Underthink it,
yeah. And just like that shock of just like, I don't know, I feel like reborn or something.
And I'll circle back to the question you asked. I wanted to revisit that because that was awesome experience.
That was an amazing experience. Yeah. I mean, you've given me like some memories here already in Milwaukee. I'm very grateful for. I always remember that.
Thanks for being a part of it. That was a memory for me too. Yeah.
Definitely.
We got to get coffee after too. It was just like fucking awesome morning.
Yeah.
But so as far as like my transition into men's coaching and health and wellness, it's been like a slowly but surely thing. Have made some big moves for myself as far as like, culminating myself into the person that can assume the role and identity of a leader and coach, and someone that can like do the thing of offering guidance to others, because like you really get in your own way when you're stepping into unknown territory. Like things come up that you get to work through. So it's like, but very much an inner game. There's that, and that's really powerful because you go through this deep evolution process and like, reckoning with yourself and confronting yourself and overcoming yourself, which is like a large component of the work that I do, is like teaching people how to do that as they're stepping into the big things that they want to create in the world, and how they share their gifts is like, it's only you versus you, like nothing, like you got to stop blaming the outside world and your circumstance for why things are the way they are. As soon as you can move on from that and recognize it's just you in the way of you, you're free, and you can be in that process honestly, and you can start to actually move towards the things you want to move towards and create the life you want to create. Let go of the victim role, become the hero and the victor. But the hardest part for me in this process is just figuring out how to like create income through it. Aside from, and I know that'll take time, so like I'm just being patient with it. I'm making steps forward every day and getting the reps in with, what I offer, and bringing community together and building the important relationships and continuing to gather knowledge and also just like lead myself through my own processes to the best of my ability, so I can authentically embody what I'm preaching and what I'm sharing with others. So it's been awesome, because it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. It's the most purpose and meaning I've ever felt in anything I've ever done.
Wow.
It's definitely one of the hardest things I've ever done too. But yeah, it's cool. It's just more of myself gets revealed to me, and like more layers and level of experience continue to get revealed to me as well as I go deeper into this journey. So yeah, it's very multifaceted and layered, and with that, just super grateful, and just going to continue to move forward.
Hey, thanks for listening to my podcast, Faucets of Reality. My mission is to help open people's minds to novel ideas and perspectives, take back their power, and learn to manifest their desires. If you enjoy my content, you probably heard it from someone or saw it on social media. This podcast is not sponsored. I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's completely ad-free. So the only way this grows is if you tell just one person about it. You'd be creating goodwill, helping this podcast grow, and it would sincerely mean the world to me. Thank you for being here. Feel free, and let's get back to the show.
Because it's what I love to do. It's what I'm excited about, and it is a calling for me, and it's what my heart wants. So I know, it's important for me to remind myself of that as the challenges arise, and just continue to move through those and learn from them, and have humility. Like, I'm going to fall down. I'm going to feel silly. I'm going to look silly as I'm learning these different things. Like, better than anyone, being a podcaster and someone who's creating content, it's like, there's things that come up, what are people going to think? Putting yourself out there is very vulnerable.
It's part of the fun, man. Getting over the obstacles. You know what I mean? That's how we move. I think, you speak so powerfully and well, and all these things you're saying, the ideas are just so coherent. And I think it's very good for people to hear what you're saying. So I guess, I wanted to ask you is that, do you think that men have always needed coaching, or is it more of just the times we're living in, or something about this age specifically? Or have men always from the beginning needed support of other men and things like that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't think it's needed, but I think it's integral for finding a path of harmony, to have a mentor, to have someone a guide of some sort that can show you the way. Especially now in such confusing times where we're so disconnected from nature and healthy means of living, and what it is that nature has intended for us, essentially. But yeah, as far as the relating to men piece, having a men's team, that is so opening, in so many different ways, to have that support system of guys that are gonna be there for you in an unconditionally loving way, that have done the work on themselves to actually be able to hold space for you and not cast their judgment on you. Where you can come to them, and you can come to this individual, you can come to me, I can go to one of my very close friends and tell them my deepest, darkest secret, the thing that maybe before I held the most shame about, and they're gonna still see me for who I am and still have love for me and not cast me out of their heart. And then also individuals that are going to hold me accountable to my word, and help me come to conclusions that will lead me in the direction that I want to head in. So yeah, there's like an amalgamation an assortment of benefits that come with, the coaching dynamic, and also just like the men's team, men's group dynamic as well. But I think, since the beginning of time, like people, for the most part, had some sort of mentorship to some degree, whether it was their father or some sort of teacher or, I don't know, someone they were engaging with that was like further along the path that could be like, hey, come this way. I'm not going to just like give you the answers, but I'm going to help like corral you a little bit. Oh, yeah. You'll walk the path, and I'll make sure it's less abrasive than it possibly could be, and that you move fluidly and effectively. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say that I think right now it's specifically helpful just because of all the different things we can get sucked into, and habits and behaviors with technology and drugs and alcohol and things like that, and media warping our minds and stuff like that. It's very, very useful to have someone in your life, whether it's a mentor or coach or a men's group, to just fluidly move in the direction you want to move in, and just create the least clunkiness possible on the ride.
It's making me like self-reflect over here. It's like I feel like I probably would benefit from more like some sort of mentor or something, right? I guess these days we can find mentors on like YouTube and things like that too.
Totally.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I think of it like back in the day, like back in the day, like in the primal caveman times. I think like a big thing of being a man was being a hunter, right? Wasn't that like a huge identity that we kind of held? And I feel like it's still lingering there. It's just my own kind of intuition about it, but like. We used to hunt. We used to go as groups of men to hunt. Maybe for a few days, we'd go and we'd kill this big beast to bring it back to the village so everyone could eat, right? And that means like literally risking our lives, And if there was like the smallest mistake, you could die, you know what I mean? So it's like getting that focus, being super like, what is it called? Like hard or penetrating or sharp even, or have an edge, right? Like, I guess I'm just thinking about like what, especially lately there's been kind of like this, I don't know if it's on purpose, but this kind of confusion between genders, and almost like they went as far as to say there are no genders, So I think like that would be something interesting for us to explore here probably, right? It's like, it's like the question that goes all the way back in time, like what is a man and what is a woman? And I think that we're living in times where it's kind of being redefined, like those roles are being redefined, and that's why it's a little confusing, because we haven't fully understood like what is it to be a man in this age, in the age of Aquarius now, and same thing with a woman, like what is it to be female these days, So what do you think is the difference between men and women? Like what's the big thing there? Like what's the difference? I mean, I guess women, give birth, right? That's very important, right? So it's probably like where we all came from.
Like the simplest way to distill it is like the biology. But now it's like people want to identify as something other than, what their biology is and how they were born to be, which is fine. I think it's fine for a biological female to identify as a man if they want. They can't say they're a biological male though,
Yeah.
But like, I think there are no rules. So if somebody wants to assume the role of a male and like identify as a man and assume the energetics of a man, but like, I guess it's just like, it's all perspective at that point. Like, can that person truly consider themselves a man if they're just, energetically considering themselves a man, but they can never truly consider themselves a biological man.
Yeah.
That's the way the best way I could put it. I don't like get too involved with the gender politics and stuff. Mm-hmm. But facts are facts. Like, you're either a biological female or a biological male. There's really no debate there. And if somebody has a problem with that, then like that's really their own issue,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's simply the truth.
Right. For sure. I guess it's like, to me, it's like the longest held tradition is like having kids, and pushing the human race forward. So like that's kind of like, for me, like that's our like number one mission, is to push the race forward.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of built in a sexual way in order to have children and to procreate and to push humanity forward in time. So anyways, but aside from that, I guess like could you encapsulate like what is the essence of being a man? Like, what is it to be a man? Like, what is the most important thing that defines a man? Like, what is it? Because I've been trying to figure it out myself.
Having big biceps.
Like, it's like, I know I'm a man, right? You're a man, right? But it's like there's a lot of men. What makes us all the same, except for the thing between our legs?
Oh my God, yeah. This like this the answer to this question will forever evolve, and I have been thinking about this. Like, what is like a primary indicating factor overarching for like the masculine archetype and template? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's assuming full responsibility for your life as it is, and not playing the blame game and pointing the finger at society and all the infinite external variables you possibly can for how your life has come to be. Yeah, there are things that happen and that's not your fault, but where you're at, like, what's more useful and more helpful, assuming responsibility or continuing to outsource your power to someone else? The video did stop. You ran out of storage, which is fine. But
is that what it said?
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
Was it? Where did it stop?
I don't know. I just noticed and I figured since it stopped, it was
okay. They got kind of big last time. Yeah. Hopefully the audio's still going. Okay.
Yeah, the audio's good.
That's fine. Yeah. But anyways, that was so amazing what you were saying. Yeah. So
I just think
a man takes responsibility, right?
Yeah, claiming responsibility for your life and creating what it is in yourself that you didn't get in your upbringing, because it's so easy to blame your parents for shit, and it's our job as people that want to like move society forward to like truly evolve on like an inner level, a profound inner level. So we can only do that through responsibility. And as soon as we assume that responsibility, we can start to make those changes and become the architects of our life. So like 100%. For me, that's a powerful man right there, and something that's an indicator of someone that is, in their power, in the masculine template.
You're literally like the avatar for that idea. Like, I really feel like you have, like, you've had to do that in your life, right? You had to take responsibility and create from within, like create from like a centered place, because that literally, it echoes what my dad told me one day, which is being a man is taking responsibility over, not just over yourself, but over your family, over your house, like over the world. You take responsibility, like you say, like this is ours, we're gonna make it like good, we're gonna protect it or whatever it is, right? So taking responsibility, that is a huge nugget. I hope that helps someone. I mean, I'm sure someone needs to hear that right now. And responsibility, taking responsibility, and that also is the way to freedom too. It turns out,
that is it.
That's the way to freedom. That's how you become free.
Exactly, exactly. Because it's, again, back to, it's only you against you at that point. Like, that's as free as you can be. There's nothing on the outside that has power over you. And that's a practice, right? Like, I'm not like always in, I'm not always, like I fall into victim mode. That's just
victim mode. I was going to say
there's layers to that. Like I can fall, like there's bouts of blaming things outside of myself for how I feel or what's showing up for me.
I'm still to this day, I'm like noticing things in which like I've just been thinking of myself as like a victim for so long, and I feel as though a lot of this, like a lot of the media and the TV kind of put this idea in us, like, oh, like the government is terrible, or like, oh, the president like messed up and like it's making life worse, or like, all these things that aren't actually like, they're not forcing you to do anything. Like you're choosing to let that have power over you, you know? And as soon as you like intentionally, consciously figure that out, you can snap out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay.
I like, it doesn't matter who's in office. I'm going to live my life the way I want to fucking live it.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, there's boundaries to that. There's laws and shit and whatever, but actually, that's another topic. Law. I'm sure you've done some research into like.
But that's
what
America. Basically, that's America. Yeah. That's the spirit of America, isn't it? Like ultimately, right?
Yeah.
People getting caught into Biden or Trump.
Yeah, I literally don't care at all. Like I'm focusing on empowering myself and the people around me, and that's really all I'm concerned with, and really all I have time for, and all I care to put my energy towards. Fuck all that shit. That's just noise. It's a distraction. Is it important to some degree? Maybe. I mean, it hasn't been that important in my life. I just don't concern myself with like politics really at all. Even on a world level, like I just, again, I have an understanding of how I can make an impact, and that doesn't really fit into the equation.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not my forte.
My life is terrible because of Biden, but it's like, no. Yeah. No, it's like, it's not because of Biden, it's because of you. Like, you have to look at your life. Like, you have to actually sit with yourself in silence and peace and, like, just let all the things just, like, boil out of you. And it's like, you get to this place of clarity, If you could just sit there in silence, you could just, like, free your mind if you wanted to, So, yeah, I mean, it's this paradox I keep coming back to. It's like, there's this external world and we're kind of in it, right? And we're kind of like doing things in the world. Like we have to kind of use it for reflection or something. But at the same time, it all comes from within, right? So it's not it's not the world looking at you, but you're looking at the world, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, things I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's important stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So recently, how did the Costa Rica retreat go? I know that was the second time you hosted a retreat to Costa Rica? Was it
not second one in Costa Rica. Okay. First one in Costa Rica, but second retreat as a whole. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. As the Brothers Beyond, right?
That's first one is Brothers Beyond. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So did it? Yeah. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
I wish I could have gone,
Yeah, I would have loved to have you there. You were missed. You were there in spirit.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of people we were thinking of while we were there. We had a lot of conversations leading up to it. Wanted to get, the brothers involved and anyone that we could that was a good fit that could contribute their magic to it and, really bring more value to the experience because it's definitely a team effort. We had some fucking gangsters there.
How many people showed up?
Not a lot, but it's funny. My mind just says it that way. Like, it's like, again, it was perfect. It was, we had the level of participation that we were prepared for, that the universe saw we were ready for. And, the experience was lined up as it was supposed to be. We had 4 people there aside from Ryan and I who were facilitating. So it was a nice, small, intimate group, which is amazing because you can just go a lot deeper as far as like when we're in session and how much time, energy, and love we can pour into each participant, how much time there is for each person to like vocalize what it is they want to say when we are in these in our practice sessions. And so I mean, it was a massive success as I see it. We learned so much. There was a lot of deep work done and a lot of energy moved and a lot of fun had and a lot of different adventures, and we got to explore the culture and eat really good food and bond on a really deep level. So yeah, I'm really grateful for it. I felt very energized after it, and very optimistic about the future as far as what retreat offerings look like. Like, obviously there's a lot of things for us to change and figure out so that we can, make it something that is a net positive financially. But we were successful in all other departments aside from that, which is great, because that's our intention, was to create a space for guys to heal and come home to their hearts and intimately connect with themselves and each other, and build relationships that last a lifetime. Really practice that craft of genuine expression of self and understanding and relating to oneself more effectively through the various frameworks, through story work, through relating to our inner critic, through theater games, through the various ways we got to engage in fun. So yeah, it was a cool, very multifaceted experience, and it was a beautiful time.
You gonna have another one next year?
Yeah, we might have one this year, actually.
Oh,
we're figuring out, we're thinking about Door County for hosting one. It's just, figuring out the logistics and, what's doable, and what we have availability for, and what the direction will be with that. But yeah, more to come, most definitely.
Very cool. So yeah, I guess to move on, what would you say? You seem like you've manifested a lot of things in your life, and for someone who maybe is having trouble like creating the things they're envisioning, what would you say is the process of manifestation?
Yeah.
Like, where does it start, and how do you make it into something you can see in the world?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, you have an idea, and you're out of storage, so I think it's just going to keep stopping.
That's true.
But
let's try again.
Yeah, just
I'm gonna give people
squeeze every last drop out of it.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna give like a preview of like the video, and then it's like, if you want the full, you gotta go on the podcast.
Right. Yeah, totally. Manifestation, creating something in the physical. If you have something you want to do, make sure you're clear on you actually wanting to do it. If it's actually something that's true to you, or if it's like something that is maybe your programming that you think you want to do. But sometimes you got to do the thing to realize that it was just something you thought you want to do.
How do you tell the difference anyway?
I think you got to just put yourself out there and do it and experiment and try new things, follow your curiosities. I don't really have like an exact like tangible process to share. What I've done is just like, when I feel called to do something, I start doing it and I keep going. So like I have different ways of planning and like overseeing and having certain targets that I'm shooting for, and then just like ironing out specific action steps of getting there and actually showing up for those action steps regularly. So really just like continuing to show up for the process of creating, continuing to charge ahead, because a lot of the time things we want to create take a lot longer than we would like. And there's always unforeseen obstacles. So I think just staying persistent and consistent with creating what you want to create is what is going to get you results. And understanding why you're doing what you're doing, like what is the purpose of doing this thing again. And that's another way of discerning whether it's right for you or not. If it's true to you, is having a strong why for what it is that you're creating and wanting to like bring into your life. but yeah, it's hard because you continually get tested and there's so many distractions. It's easy to get thrown off course. It's easy to succumb to laziness and like stagnation, and distractions and things along these lines. So really being adamant about showing up for what it is you want to create, I think that's the most important thing. And having some sort of reflective process too, to make sure that you're maintaining the course in the direction you want to go in, whether that's journaling or talking with a friend if you have a partner on the endeavor, podcasting, a lot of ways to go about it.
So many ways. Like the abracadabra thing, right? Isn't that the talisman you're making? The amulet thing, right? Yeah. Kind of thing. It's like, I've been thinking about this a lot because you think and then you speak, right? It's like everyone says, like, I was talking about it before it happened, right? Yeah. You speak it into existence, right?
Exactly. That I mean, if I was going to iron down the process in like the simplest way possible, and this is a great quote that I just remembered, creation unfolds from thought to word to deed. So like you have the idea in your head, it's just like ethereal, it's not really real it's real to some degree, but it's not tangible in any sort of way, and then you speak it out loud, potentially maybe you have a conversation about it. You don't even need to really, I guess, writing it, you don't even need to speak it out loud, but I think it's helpful. And then the first deed and most important deed I think that there is like starting to put things down on paper as far as what you want to do. And that's just a way of like assessing what it is the idea is and fleshing it out. And then you can start making a plan and start doing more deeds to create this thing. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And what would you say is like your biggest motivation? Like what motivates you? Like what are you working towards? Like what is it that, like what pushes you forward? Just being who you are, just being built. Like what is it that's like personally drives you?
Yeah. I think just, experiencing the mystery of life and, really creating an experience for myself. And, I know that's all in my hands. So, continuing to put myself out there, like, and meet that resistance. And really, like, under that, it's just human connection and being of support of others and being someone who is a safe space that can help others heal. That's, a big motivating factor for me, is just being someone that is the light in the world, as generic and cheesy as it sounds. I want to be that person where like I'm a paradigm shifter. Like I have brought myself into this position so I can be love. I can be a permission slip for other people to also create epic experiences for themselves and become free. So it's just, showing up in that way.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. That's amazing.
There's plenty of things, right? Like there's so many things that are amazing about life. Like that's
what I've been trying to like boil down for myself. Like I've been thinking deeply, like what is like the essential thing, like my intention for life. And I mean, for me, like I boiled it down to just 2 words.
Wow.
Celebrate life.
Oh, so good.
Right? But we're celebrating just being alive. And we're celebrating life. That I think, like, right? Like
that's so good.
Isn't that
so good?
Really?
Yeah, like be alive. Like that being a form of being life fully itself. Alive is celebrating being alive.
Yeah, right? Life itself.
Acknowledging how profound it is that we're here in this moment, doing this, and like how impossible that it truly is, which like there's so many layers to that. I'm sure you have looked into like quantum mechanics and like probability wise, like the fact that we're here is just astronomical, like as beings in this body. That's something to celebrate. And
for sure.
And there's so many ways to celebrate, right? Like that's powerful.
Like we did it. We're here.
We did it. Like, we already won.
Yeah. We already accomplished. We already achieved. Like we're here already. Yeah. Like we've been working for countless, like billions of aeons, just to get to this moment, right? And here it is.
Well said. Yeah, I like how you distilled it down into just a couple words there. That's powerful.
Sweet, man. Yo, I'm happy to do this, bro. I honestly I don't know what else there is to talk about. was there anything that you wanted to maybe expound on more, or like, I guess something I always try to ask like all my guests is if you have any advice for like the younger generations, like if the kids coming up now trying to find their way, like rebelling, not conforming, you know what I mean? Just that whole messy process of like being, an adolescent, teenager, But, it's just that the world is such that it makes you go through these things. But they're still listening, you're still listening, and you're still taking things in. So like, what would you... I don't know, like, how would you help someone who's maybe in a dark place, and to get out of that,
Yeah.
Well, like if you're new to this world, how do you get through it? Eat like
okay.
in a more harmonious way.
Yeah, there's a few things that came to mind, but I'll just say this one because
Sure.
it's like it's so profound. It's so simple but so profound, and this is a Mr. Rogers thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're having a hard time, look for the helpers. They're everywhere. So like reach out for a helping hand. Like there's so many people around you that are over the moon to be there for you.
Damn.
Over the fucking moon.
I can't accept it. I suffer in silence, bro. I like to just if I'm suffering, like I don't want to put that on anyone. You know what I mean? I want to deal with it myself,
Well, just on that note, like the thing is about acts of kindness and holding space for others, supporting other beings, it actually like shapes our genetic makeup. Like there's like it improves our being on every level. So most people, that's why I say like, I mean, just from like we don't need science to show us this, but it feels amazing to help other individuals. So, and not that we do it out of selfishness, like we want this person to find peace and harmony as well, but also like on a selfish note, it is very beneficial to just like be there for other people and be someone that helps individuals, someone that's just kind. So if there's one thing I was going to offer, that would be it. Like
be there for others and
just look for the helpers, like ask for help, ask for support. Like there's people that want to help you, and sometimes you got to go out and look a little bit to find the right person to help you with what it is.
It actually shows strength if you're able to ask for help. That's like the sign of a leader, actually.
Exactly. Real leaders are transparent. I ask for help all the time. I'm an open fucking book, because what's most personal is most universal. I talk about my addiction all the time. I talk about my depression. I want to let people know like this is a part of the human experience. It's normal. Stop hiding it, because that's where shame will be created. Let's just be fucking honest. It's fine. Let's work through it together. We'll find solutions. The more you just like harbor this shit, the more you push it down, the more it stagnates, and then it manifests in disharmony in all sorts of ways, and we find ways to like cope with it that just aren't good for us. So just being open and being transparent. That's what real leaders do. Like real leaders are in their authentic human process, just like anyone else.
And also like I've heard leadership is imperfect.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's raw. Like you just go and you just do all these things that need to happen, you know what I mean? It's not like you have to be perfect or something like that, you know what I mean? Or you have to like speak eloquently or something. No, you just have to get the energy going, to like get it moving, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like you're a master at that.
So, doing my best,
for sure.
Yeah, we're in process.
Yeah, man. So hopefully we can do another one soon.
We will. We absolutely will.
It's already getting kind of long, I think. But, we could probably keep going, but maybe save some for next time.
Yeah, that feels good.
That was amazing. I was really
there's nothing else I'd like to expand on. I mean, I'd be happy to share like plugs and stuff if that's something you do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, right. Well, of course we got it. Like, how can people find you? And what are the services you're offering right now?
Sure. So I have 3 Instagram pages. So we'll just start with the jewelry art page, William Arthur Jewelry. You'll find it. It's the top one under that name. I won't have to spell it out. It'll pop up. Second one, my personal holistic health and wellness coaching content, stuff like that, where I facilitate my services and, I share a bunch of great information at Yo Wild Bill. And then I have my men's mental health initiative, which I am creating in collaboration with my really close friend Ryan at Brothers Beyond, spelled exactly how you would think. And then as far as the services I'm offering and, opportunities to like connect, we do a weekly virtual men's circle, which for now we host every Tuesday evening, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, but we will change that. It still will be weekly, but you can just tune into our page, Brothers Beyond, and my personal page to see what that will be. And then aside from that, I offer one-on-one support. We have retreat offerings. So if there's, any interest in exploring what that looks like, I'm happy to just schedule a call with anyone that's interested. Just if you want to connect, if you want to get on a connection call, that's something I offer. And yeah, that's what I got. It's been an honor, my friend, and such a great way to come back together. And I haven't done a podcast in a long time, so it felt really good to collaborate and explore the outer edges and have fun doing it.
For sure. Yeah, over too quick, man. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yes,
and thank you for coming on. And it was a blast to do this. And yeah, hope you have a good day.
Peace.